For this culture interview, I had the chance to interview Natalie. She's 25 years old. Her father's from Chile and her mother's from Venezuela. She was born here in the United States and she grew up here in Utah County. She considers herself Latino, Hispanic, and also American. These are my interview questions. I'm just going to focus on a couple of those. So I asked her whether she has experienced discrimination because of her heritage. And she says that she has experienced discrimination from both sides. And for her, that means that she's had plenty of white people or Americans saying things like, you're only getting into college because you're brown, or asking, do your parents even work? She says that people make assumptions about her intelligence. And then it's definitely worse for her parents. Her parents came here when they were young adults, and they've lived here now for about 30 years. But she has seen people take advantage of them and assume they don't speak English. And even though, again, they've been here for 30 plus years and they speak English just fine. And then on the other hand, she says that other Latinos say that she's too Americanized, especially because of where she lives. She didn't grow up near Latino family or friends. And she grew up speaking Spanish in the home, but it's more Spanglish than she realized. And so when she served her mission in Mexico, everybody knew she was American at the beginning because of her accent, because of words she used, because of not knowing certain words, and even certain cultural expectations. But she has been surrounded by non-Latino Americans for basically her whole life, again, because she grew up here in Utah County. I asked her also about health difficulties among Latino Americans. The first thing she said was mental health. Especially in Latin American countries, mental health is not talked about and people don't know what it can entail, what it can include. And when people do talk about it, there's a stigma. So of course, even here in the United States, only very recently are we kind of debunking those myths and those ideas about mental health. And so people coming from these Latin American countries where it's, they're not quite there yet. It's very hard, as especially once they get here into America also. And she also talked about unhealthy food in America. People cannot cook the same when they get here, obviously. And so wherever they're immigrating from, especially if they don't immigrate to a big city or somewhere that's, if they're coming from Mexico, if they're not necessarily close to our southern border, they might not have access to the same spices or foods or just opportunities to cook the same as what they're used to. And so fast food is the easiest option, which of course is not healthy and is detrimental for everybody. And as for the reflection, I think the part that stood out to me most, she said this: I wish that people wouldn't look at me like a brown girl who doesn't know anything, and that Latinos would be more understanding of why I don't feel super Latino. The American side of me wishes that I wasn't afraid of expressing the Latino side more. And during this whole interview, and even before we started, Natalie kept expressing her doubts about whether she was Latino enough for this interview. And I think that's something that, second and third and fourth generation Americans they're trying so hard to honor their native heritage and their native culture, but also they're trying to be part of American society. And that's such a hard line for anybody to be able to walk. And I just hope that as we interact with people who are in that situation, that we can understand the difficulties that they're experiencing.